Part 1 begins with a quiet tension spreading across the alien kingdom of Arvala. Every corridor of the royal palace feels heavy, as if the walls know a secret but refuse to speak. The alien king Zirak walks through the long crystal hall with a troubled expression. His steps are slow, and even the guards notice something is wrong. For many years, Zirak acted boldly, making big decisions without hesitation. But this time, his heart feels heavy. He knows the humans are growing stronger, and rumors say they want answers for the mistakes his kingdom made. Some people whisper that the humans are preparing to confront him. The king senses that if he does not act soon, he may lose everything: his throne, his safety, even his life. Yet instead of thinking about solutions for everyone, King Zirak mostly thinks about himself. His biggest fear is not losing his kingdom. His fear is facing the consequences of his own poor decisions. He begins searching for a way to protect himself, even if it means someone else must pay the price. Every night, he stares at old star maps, thinking of possibilities, but none of them seem to work. He knows he cannot offer riches because the humans already have their own wealth. He cannot offer technology because humans now understand many advanced systems. He cannot offer peace agreements because trust between the two sides is already weak. Then one evening, he has an idea so cold and selfish that even he hesitates at first. But as fear tightens in his chest, he convinces himself that he has no other choice. He decides to offer a member of his own family as a symbolic gift to the humans. In older times, such gestures were used to show loyalty or respect. If he offers someone who carries royal blood, the humans might accept it as a sign of friendship. They might decide not to question him further. They might leave him alone. And if they leave him alone, his life will remain safe. But whom should he offer? He thinks about each of his children one by one. His oldest son is the crown prince. Offering him would cause chaos in the kingdom. His second child is an important military leader. Losing him would weaken the royal guard. His third child is beloved by the people. Sending her away would create anger and fear. And then there is Leora, his youngest daughter. A quiet girl, gentle and shy. Someone who rarely stands out. She spends most of her time in the palace gardens, studying plants, watching the stars, listening to the wind flow through the strange glowing trees of Arvala. She has never caused trouble, but she has also never impressed her father. In truth, Zirak barely notices her. Because of that, the king convinces himself she is the easiest choice. He tells himself that she will be fine. Humans are polite and respectful. They will treat her well, and she will live a comfortable life. He keeps repeating this in his mind until he almost believes it. After hours of thinking, he sits on his throne and makes his decision. Leora will be the one he sends away. She will be his peace gift to the humans. He tells no one at first, not even her. He simply sits in silence, letting his fear guide him more than his love for his child. The next morning, he calls his advisors and tells them his plan in a calm voice, as if he is discussing simple trade agreements. The advisors are shocked, but they fear the king too much to speak openly. They exchange uneasy glances. Some of them believe this decision will come back to haunt the king. Others think it might actually bring peace. But none of them think about Leora not truly. They have become used to following orders without question. Meanwhile, Princess Leora wakes up like any ordinary day. Unaware of the decision that will change her entire life, she combs her long silver hair gently, ties it behind her head, and walks out to the garden. The morning sky glows with soft green light, as if the world is painted with peaceful colors. Leora loves mornings. Birds with transparent wings flutter above the fountain, and tiny beams of sunlight reflect on the water like shining crystals. She takes a deep breath and smiles quietly. For her, the garden is the only place where she feels seen, even if no one else notices her in the palace, as Leora studies a newly blooming flower with glowing blue petals. She does not know her father is talking with the human envoys at that very moment. She does not know he is offering her life to solve his own problems. She does not know that before the sun sets, she will be taken far away from the home she has always known. When the advisors finally come to find her,
Now,
Their footsteps echo through the garden. Leora looks up, surprised to see so many people approaching her at once. They never come to speak with her unless they have instructions from the king. She stands up slowly, brushing soil from her hands. She gives them a polite smile. But she can see something strange in their eyes. Something like discomfort or worry. One advisor tells her that the king has called for her immediately. His voice sounds too formal, too forced, as if he wants to hide his true feelings. Leora does not argue. She simply nods and follows him toward the palace. Her heart beats a little faster, though she does not understand why. She has never been in trouble. She cannot think of anything she has done wrong, yet a quiet fear whispers in her chest. When she enters the throne room, King Zyrak sits tall and rigid, trying to look confident, though his eyes reveal a different story. Leora bows gently, waiting for him to speak. The king clears his throat and tells her in a distant tone that she has a special purpose now, a mission that will bring peace and honor to their people. He doesn't explain much. He avoids her eyes. He speaks about duty, respect, and sacrifice. But he never once speaks about love. Leora listens carefully, but the words confuse her. She feels as if something heavy is being placed on her shoulders, yet she cannot see what it is. All she knows is that her father ordered her to pack a small travel bag and prepare to leave with the human delegation before sunset. When she asks why, the king simply answers, "It is for the good of our kingdom." His voice is final. Leaving no room for questions, Lore walks out of the throne room with quiet steps. She feels a strange mixture of sadness and fear, but also a small spark of curiosity about the humans. She has never met them before. She wonders what they are like. As the day ends, a human ship lands in the palace courtyard. Its bright lights shine across the stone path, and the air buzzes with energy. Leora stands near the gate with her small bag, looking up at the ship with wide eyes. She does not know what awaits her. She does not know that she is being sent away, not out of love, but out of fear. She does not know that her father believes she is the one child he can lose without. Consequence, she only knows she must be brave. And so, without a single goodbye from the king who sent her away, Leora steps aboard the human ship, beginning a journey that will change her life and the fate of two worlds forever. Part 2 begins with Princess Leora sitting quietly inside the human spaceship as it rises into the sky. The soft humming of the engines surrounds her, and she feels the gentle shaking under her feet. She has never flown in a human vessel before. Everything inside the ship looks different from the smooth, glowing designs of Arvala. Human technology feels bold and strong, with metal panels and bright screens showing symbols. She does not yet understand. She keeps her small travel bag close to her chest, holding it tightly as the ship moves higher above her home planet. Through the window, she sees Arvala become smaller and smaller. The forests she loved, the gardens she cared for, the crystal towers she walked past every day, all of them shrank until they look like tiny dots. Leora's heart feels heavy. She wonders why her father didn't come to see her off, not even for a moment. She tells herself that maybe he was busy. But deep down, she feels a quiet sadness that she doesn't want to admit. Across from her sits Captain Elias Morgan, the human commander assigned to escort her. He watches her gently, trying not to make her uncomfortable. He has heard that she is a royal guest, but the moment he saw her, he realized she was not treated like one by her own people. She walked onto the ship alone, without guards or family, and that confused him. But he doesn't ask questions yet. Instead, he simply speaks softly, so she won't feel scared. "Are you feeling okay?" Elias asks, keeping his voice friendly. Leora looks up, her bright eyes unsure. Human language is still difficult for her, but she understands enough. She nods politely and says, "Yes, I think so." Her voice is small, but Elias notices the courage she is trying to gather. He smiles gently. "If you need anything, just tell me. You're safe here." The word safe surprises her. No one mentioned that before. She hugs her bag a little less tightly and gives a small, grateful nod as the ship travels through space. Elias explains a few simple things about their surroundings, the emergency lights, how to call for help, where the food area is. Leora listens carefully, absorbing every detail. She has always been good at learning quietly, even when no one praised her for it. After a while, she gathers the courage to ask, "Where are we going?" "To the human settlement on Solaris Station," Elias answers. "It's a peaceful place. Many different species live there together. You'll meet kind people." Leora relaxes a little. She has never been to a place where many species live together equally. Her home always kept strict borders between the royal family and everyone else. Maybe this new place will be different. When the ship finally reaches Solaris Station, Leora is amazed. From the outside, the station looks like a giant silver ring floating in space, with glowing blue lines swirling around its edges. Inside, the atmosphere is warm and bright. People of many shapes, colors, and sizes walk through the halls, chatting, carrying tools, or greeting friends. Everything feels alive. Leora steps out of the ship slowly, taking in the sights. Elias walks by her side, making sure she doesn't feel lost. As they move through the station, people turn their heads to look at her not with judgment, but with curiosity and interest. No one seems threatened by her presence. Instead, some even smile warmly. A woman with friendly eyes approaches them. "Welcome to Solaris Station," she says to Leora. "I hope your journey was comfortable." Leora bows slightly, unsure of the proper greeting. The woman smiles even wider. "Oh, you don't have to bow. We all greet each other equally here." Her voice is warm, and for a moment, Leora feels a strange sense of acceptance that she rarely felt in her own kingdom. Elias brings her to a quiet room prepared for her. It's small compared to the royal chambers she once had, but it feels cozy. There is a soft bed, a simple desk, and a window showing the stars outside. Leora touches the blanket gently, surprised that humans prepared such a welcoming space just for her. "If you need anything," Elias says, "you can call me through this button." He points to a device on the wall. Leora nods again. After he leaves, she sits on the bed and looks at the stars for a long time. The silence is calming. She wonders what her father is doing right now. Does he miss her? Does he think about her? The questions trouble her heart, but she pushes them away for now. Over the next few days, Leora begins to understand human life. People invite her to sit with them during meals, offering her foods she has never tasted before. She laughs quietly when she tries something too sweet, and her eyes widen in surprise. The workers on the station show her around gently, explaining things in simple words so she can learn. Whenever she struggles with the language, people patiently repeat themselves, smiling and helping her. Leora feels something she'd never expected: comfort. Not because she is a princess, but because people treat her kindly as a person. Elias spends time with her too. He teaches her how to read human maps, how to understand simple data screens, and how to navigate the station. Leora learns fast. Elias is impressed by how quickly she picks up new information, even when he doesn't explain every detail. One day, while showing her a small communication device, Elias notices her hands tracing the wires as if she can sense their energy. "You understand how it works?" he asks, surprised. Leora hesitates, then nods. "I can feel patterns. They tell me how things move inside." Elias raises his eyebrows. "That's incredible. Most humans need weeks to study something like this." Leora blushes slightly, unused to being complimented. Listen. Machines also speak, but not with words." Her answer stays in Elias's mind for the rest of the day. He realizes that the girl who arrived quietly on his ship is far more talented than anyone expected. She is gentle, yes, but also intelligent and observant. She is not someone to ignore or underestimate. As days pass, Leora slowly opens up. She begins to smile more, ask questions, and show her curiosity. People on the station grow fond of her. They bring her small gifts, simple things, like a glowing stone from a distant planet or a handmade bracelet. She treasures each one because they come from genuine kindness, a duty or formality. But even as she grows comfortable, she still wonders why she was sent away. She remembers her father's cold expression, his stiff voice, his refusal to explain. A quiet pain still sits deep in her heart, although she hides it well. Then one afternoon, while Leora is studying a map with Elias, she finally asks the question she's been holding inside. "Captain Elias," she says softly, "did my father tell you why he sent me here?" Elias looks at her with gentle eyes. "No," he admits. "He only said you were a gift of goodwill." But he didn't sound like a father sending his child with love. Leora looks down at her hands. "I thought so too." Elias hesitates, then says carefully, "Whatever his reasons are, you're safe here. And you're welcome here not as a gift, but as a guest." As a person, Leora feels warmth rise in her chest, not from sadness this time, but from comfort. She nods gratefully, her eyes shining softly. In the days that follow, she slowly begins to build a new life among the humans. She helps volunteers in simple tasks. She learns their routines. She discovers that she can sense energy in machines better than most engineers. People start noticing her abilities, though she still feels shy when they praise her. Little by little, Leora starts to realize something very important. In this place far away from her home, she is finally being seen not as a burden or an unwanted daughter, but as someone with value. She does not know yet how much her life is about to change. She does not know that her talents will soon reveal a truth her father tried to hide. She does not know that the humans she just met will play a bigger role in her future than she ever imagined. For now, she only knows one thing. Perhaps for the first time in her life, she feels like she belongs somewhere. Part 3 begins with Leora settling into a gentle routine on Solaris Station. Every morning, she wakes up to the soft glow of artificial sunlight that fills her small room. She stretches her arms, takes a quiet breath, and looks out of the window at the stars. Sometimes she still misses her home planet, but now, instead of feeling only sadness, she feels a mix of hope and curiosity. Each new day on the station teaches her something different, something she'd never experienced in her old life. People on the station enjoy having her around. They treat her kindly, not because she's a princess, but because she shows warmth and respect to everyone she meets. Leora listens more than she speaks, which makes people feel comfortable around her. They start inviting her to join activities, small tasks, shared meals, simple talks in the garden area of the station. Still, the most surprising thing for everyone is Leora's unusual abilities. She doesn't talk about them much, but people notice them naturally. It all starts one morning when a group of station engineers are standing near a broken panel. The lights inside the panel keep flickering, and no one can understand why. Leora is walking by, carrying a basket of supplies. When she pauses and tilts her head slightly, something is wrong inside. She says softly. One of the engineers laughs kindly. "We know that. That's why we're trying to fix it." Leora steps closer, gently places her hand on the side of the panel, and closes her eyes. She takes a slow breath. After a moment, she says, "The energy is moving in the wrong direction. One of the small wires is confused. It wants to connect here, not there." She gestures carefully to the lower corner. The engineers stare at her, surprised. When they open the panel fully, they find that she is exactly right. A tiny wire was misplaced, causing the flickering. They fix it quickly and turn to her with wide eyes. "How did you know that?" One of them asks. Leora shrugs shyly. "I can feel it. The patterns." They speak softly. The engineer's exchange looks full of awe. They invite her to help with a few more panels, just to test her ability. Every time she understands, the energy flows faster than anyone else, as if she were listening to a familiar song. Word spreads around the station, and soon everyone knows that the quiet alien princess has a remarkable gift. Elias hears the news too. When he visits her later that day, Leora is sitting at her desk studying a small device someone gave her. He smiles gently as he enters. "You're becoming famous," he says. "People think you have magic hands." Leora shakes her head quickly. "It's not magic. It's just natural. I always felt things like this, but no one ever asked me about it before." Elias sits across from her. "Your talent is special. You shouldn't hide it." Leora lowers her eyes. "At home, no one cared what I could do. They only cared about what I could not do." Elias' expression softens. "Well, here your abilities matter. and people appreciate them. Leora feels a quiet glow in her chest. It is a soft, warm feeling, something she never felt in her father's palace. She whispers, "Thank you," and Elias nods with a gentle smile. In the following days, Leora becomes more involved in station activities. She helps engineers repair complicated circuits. She assists researchers with analyzing unusual energy patterns. Even though she is still learning the human language, her skills shine through her actions. People start relying on her, trusting her judgment, asking her questions, and every time someone praises her, Leora's heart grows lighter. But her abilities are not the only thing that begins to show. She also discovers her talent for helping people emotionally. When someone is stressed or overwhelmed, Leora notices it quickly. She sits with them, listens quietly, and offers gentle words. She doesn't try to change their problems. She simply gives them comfort. Somehow, her calm presence and soft voice make people feel understood. One afternoon, while walking through the garden area, Leora sees a young technician sitting alone on a bench, looking upset. She quietly approaches and asks, "Are you all right?" The technician wipes her eyes, embarrassed, but Leora sits beside her patiently. Within moments, the technician begins talking about her fears, her difficult tasks, her mistakes. Leora listens without judgment and says, "You do not need to be perfect. Trying your best is enough." Those simple words bring comfort that the technician didn't even know she needed. Leora does not realize it yet, but she is becoming a gentle light on Solaris Station. Someone who brings warmth just by being present. Meanwhile, Elias observes everything from a respectful distance. He watches how she grows, how she learns, how she shines. He sees her transformation from the quiet girl who stepped off his ship into someone stronger, braver, and more confident. Her kindness touches everyone around her, including him. One day he invites her to join him in the command room. She follows him curiously. When the door opens, she sees a large table covered in glowing blue maps. Lines of information travel across the screens, forming patterns she recognizes instantly. "We're having trouble understanding these readings," Elias says. "Do they make sense to you?" Leora steps closer. She studies the patterns carefully, her eyes following each line. Then she points to a section on the map. "This energy is bending too much. It means something is pulling on it. Something. Far away, but strong." The officers in the room exchange surprised looks. One of them says, "We couldn't understand that for 3 days." Leora blushes, unsure of how to react. Elias gives her a proud smile. "You helped us more than you know." She looks around the room slowly. For the first time in her life, she feels important, not because of her title, but because of her abilities. Later that night, she sits by her window again, thinking about everything that has happened. She feels grateful, but also confused. She remembers her father's words, his distant voice, the lack of warmth in his eyes. Why did he never see her worth? Did he know about her abilities? Did he care? These questions sit quietly in her heart, but she doesn't let them swallow her joy. The next morning, something unexpected happens. A group of researchers studying alien technology discover an old device that belonged to Arvala. They ask Leora if she can help understand it. She looks at the device carefully, touches its surface, and closes her eyes. A soft hum fills her mind, like a melody she hasn't heard in years. She opens the device gently and explains how each part works, surprising everyone. "Your knowledge is impressive," one researcher says. "Did your father teach you this?" Leora looks down. "No, I learned it on my own." Researchers look at each other, impressed. "You have a rare gift, Leora, one that could help many people." Those words echo inside her mind for hours. Help many people. She never imagined her life could mean something like that. Her father never gave her such a purpose. But here among strangers who became friends, she finally feels like she belongs. By the end of part 3, Leora's world has changed more than she ever expected. She is no longer the quiet, unseen princess who walked through her father's palace like a shadow. She is someone with skills, value, and growing confidence. People seek her advice, appreciate her help, and rely on her abilities. What she doesn't know is that her growing importance is slowly bringing attention far beyond the walls of Solaris Station. Her abilities are being noticed not only by the humans, but also by those who once ignored her, and soon, the truth about her father's decision will rise into the light, shaking her world all over again. Part 4 begins with Solaris Station glowing softly under the artificial daylight. People walk calmly through the halls, and the quiet humming of machines fills the air. Leora has grown so comfortable here that she moves through the station with gentle confidence now. She has friends, a routine, and a purpose she never had before. But she doesn't know that everything is about to change in ways she could never imagine. One morning, Leora is in the research room helping the engineers study the energy patterns of a new device. Her hands move gracefully over the controls, and her eyes follow every bright line on the screen. She explains what each pattern means, and the engineers listen carefully. They trust her skills completely now. Suddenly, a soft beep echoes from the main communication screen. Everyone turns their heads at the same time. A message flashes across the large display with bold symbols. Leora doesn't recognize the message, but the humans do. "It's from Arvala," Elias says, stepping forward with a serious expression. Leora freezes, her heart pounds quietly. She hasn't heard anything from her home planet since the day she left. She slowly rises from her seat, unsure of what to expect. The researchers step aside as Elias opens the message. A large hologram appears in the room. The moment the image becomes clear, Leora feels her breath catch in her throat. It is her father, the alien king, Zyrax, standing in his grand throne room. His posture is tall and dignified, just as she remembers, but his face looks tense, almost worried. He begins speaking in a formal tone. To the human leaders of Solaris Station, he says, "I'm contacting you regarding my daughter, Princess Leora." Everyone glances at Leora, who stands quietly with her hands pressed against each other. Her father continues, "She was sent to your station as a gift of alliance. I hope she has not caused any trouble." A heavy silence fills the room. Leora lowers her eyes slightly. She feels a familiar sting in her chest, the same feeling she had the day she left. Then the king's voice shifts. "I request that she be returned to Arvala immediately." Leora blinks in surprise. "Returned? Why? What changed?" Ilias's face tightens. "We need more information," he says calmly, and sends a message back. Within moments, a second hologram appears. This time it shows not just the king, but several royal advisors standing behind him. One of them steps forward and speaks in a polite but urgent tone. "We have recently discovered that Princess Leora possesses rare and valuable abilities," the advisor explains. "Abilities that may be important for the future of our kingdom." Leora's heart sinks. Not once did her father notice those abilities when she lived under his roof. Not once did he ask her about them. Now that others praise her, he suddenly wants her back. The advisor continues, "We believe her skills should serve her own people. Therefore, she must be returned immediately." The engineers exchange confused looks. Elias folds his arms slowly. His calm voice fills the room. "Princess Leora is not a prisoner," he says. "She is free to choose where she wants to be." Zyrax's expression tightens. "She is my daughter," he says. "Right. Her choices are tied to her duties." Leora feels a wave of emotions, confusion, sadness, and something she rarely felt around her father: frustration. She steps forward slowly and speaks in a quiet voice. "Father, why now? Why didn't you care before?" Her father pauses, surprised to hear her speak directly. "I've always cared," he says quickly, though his voice does not sound fully honest. Leora looks into his hologram eyes. "I help people here because they let me. They saw me. They listened to me." Her voice shakes slightly, but she holds her ground. "But you never did." The king's expression hardens, not angry but uneasy. He says, "You misunderstood your role. You were not meant to fix machines. You were meant to serve your kingdom through obedience." Those words hit her deeply. Elias watches her carefully, ready to support her. Leora takes a slow breath. "I want to help," she says softly. "But not because you want to hide behind me. Not because I am easy to send away. Not because I suddenly became useful. The king opens his mouth to respond, but Elias steps forward politely. With respect, your majesty, he says. Leora has done nothing but help us. She has been a friend to everyone here. She is safe with us. She is valued. The king's face tightens slightly. I demand her return, he repeats. Elias stays calm. She will decide for herself. The hologram flickers and the message ends abruptly. The entire room falls silent. Leora stands still, staring at the empty space where her father's image was. Her heart feels heavy, but somewhere inside that heaviness grows a small flame of strength. Elias walks to her side. You don't have to decide right now, he says softly. Take time. Think. We will support whatever you choose. Leora nods slowly, but she feels overwhelmed. She excuses herself gently and leaves the research room, walking through the quiet hallways with slow steps. She goes to the garden area of Solaris Station, her favorite place to think. The artificial trees glow softly, and the gentle air helps calm her mind. She sits on a bench and looks up at the stars. Her thoughts swirl inside her. She remembers her father's distant voice, the cold palace halls, the lonely days she spent unnoticed. She remembers the humans who listened to her, the engineers who thanked her, the technicians she comforted. She remembers Elias, who spoke to her with respect from the first day they met. She whispers to herself, "What do I want?" It is a question she never dared to ask before. Back home, her wants never mattered. But here, her desires hold weight. Her voice is heard. As she sits quietly, a soft sound approaches. Elias appears from behind the glowing trees. He doesn't speak at first. He simply sits on the bench next to her, giving her space. After a moment, she says, "I don't think my father wants me." "Not really. He wants what I can do." Elias nods gently. "I think you're right." She turns her head toward him. "But I also don't want to turn my back on my people. I want to help them. But I want to help them in my own way." Elias smiles softly. Maybe the answer is not choosing one side over the other. Maybe the answer is choosing yourself. Leora lets the words sink in. They feel comforting, like a gentle blanket around her heart. Over the next few days, Leora thinks deeply. She talks to engineers, researchers, even the young technicians she once comforted. Everyone tells her the same thing. They want her to stay. But they will respect whatever choice she makes. Meanwhile, more messages come from Arvala. The king grows more insistent, saying it is urgent for her to return. But he still doesn't speak to her with warmth. His tone remains formal, distant, and full of pressure. Finally, one evening after long reflection, Leora makes her decision. She walks to Elias, who is standing in the command room, and says with quiet confidence, "I know what I want." Elias turns toward her. "Tell me," he says gently. Leora takes a deep breath. "I will speak to my father again, but this time I will speak as someone who knows her own worth. Will tell him I will help, but only if he respects my choices." Elias nods proudly. That is a strong decision. Laura's heart feels calm. For the first time in her life, she is not speaking as a daughter trying to please her father. She is speaking as someone who finally sees her own value. She is ready to face her past not with fear, but with quiet strength. When the news of the king's lies spread across Arvala, the entire kingdom shook. For generations, the people believed their leaders were honest and noble. They trusted King Zarak, even when he made decisions that seemed strange. But when evidence clearly showed that he had offered his own daughter as a gift to protect himself, everything changed. The citizens of Arvala whispered in the streets, wondering how someone who called himself a ruler could treat his own child that way. Some were angry, some were disappointed, and some were simply shocked. But all of them knew one thing: the kingdom needed a new leader. Leora heard all of this from afar. She sat in a quiet room on the human ship, thinking about everything she had been through. At times she felt small again, as if she were the same forgotten princess who once wandered the palace halls unseen. But then she remembered the moments where she discovered her strength decoding human systems. Helping injured workers, calming frightened children, and standing up against her father's lies. Elias often reminded her how far she had come and how much she had grown. He told her that she was no longer the girl who was pushed aside her whole life. She had changed. She had become someone strong. But strength brought responsibility. And now that the Alien Council had removed King Zyrak from power, they sent a message asking Leora to return home. The message was respectful, almost humble. They said the kingdom needed guidance. They wanted someone honest, someone who had seen both their world and the humans' world. They wanted her. The request filled Leora with mixed emotions. She had dreamed of being valued, but she never imagined being asked to lead an entire kingdom. For a long time, she did not answer. She paced around the room, thinking deeply. Her heart was heavy with uncertainty. She remembered how the people of her kingdom rarely looked at her, how everyone considered her unimportant. She remembered how the king barely spoke her name. Could she really return and rule the same people who once ignored her existence? Elias found her sitting by the window one evening, staring at the stars. He sat beside her quietly, waiting for her to speak. Finally, she asked him the question that had been troubling her. She wondered if she was truly worthy, if she could guide a kingdom, if she could make decisions that affected thousands of lives. Her voice was soft, but filled with doubt. Elias listened carefully. Then he told her everything he had seen in her since the day she arrived. He reminded her how she stepped into a world she did not understand and adapted quickly. He reminded her how gently she cared for those around her, and how bravely she confronted the truth about her father. He reminded her of the courage she showed when she stood against the corruption she had lived under all her life. He said leadership was not about being loud or powerful. It was about choosing what was right, even when it was difficult. And that was something Leora had done again and again. His words filled her with warmth. Her doubt loosened, but did not disappear. Still, she felt something shifting inside her. She began to realize that she had already been doing things leaders do, protecting others, seeking fairness, and trying to understand both sides of a conflict. The humans respected her. The Alien Council now respected her. Perhaps she could learn to respect herself too. Finally, she decided to return home. But she also knew she did not want to abandon the humans who had treated her with kindness. She asked Elias if he would come with her, at least for the journey. He agreed without hesitation. Together, they boarded a diplomatic ship and left for Arvala. When they arrived, the entire landing platform was filled with citizens. Many had never seen the princess clearly before. Now, they watched her with curiosity, respect, and hope. Leora stepped out slowly, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes on her. But instead of fear, she felt a steady calm. This was her home, but it was no longer the place where she was ignored. This time, she was being welcomed. The council led her to the grand chamber where important decisions were made. The room was filled with elders, representatives, and advisors. For the first time in her life, they greeted her politely and asked her what she wished to do. It was strange to hear her voice echo in the hall, strange to know that people were listening carefully. But she spoke with honesty. She said she wanted peace with the humans. She wanted fairness for all people of the kingdom. She wanted to rebuild trust and give every citizen a chance to be heard. Her speech was simple, but it moved everyone in the chamber. The council members exchanged glances, and one by one they nodded in agreement. The process of making her the new leader began. Leora did not wear a crown immediately. She did not rush into power. Instead, she spent weeks meeting citizens, learning about their struggles, and listening to their concerns. She walked through markets, visited schools, and spoke to workers who maintained the city. People were surprised to see a royal figure among them, but they welcomed her with open hearts. She did not behave like a ruler who stayed above others. She behaved like someone who wanted to understand them. Her kindness changed the air in the kingdom. For the first time in years, the people of Arvala felt hopeful. During this time, Elias stayed by her side. He became a bridge between the humans and the aliens, helping both sides communicate better. Leora often asked for his advice, not because she needed him to make decisions, but because she trusted him. Their friendship grew stronger with each passing day. Many people noticed the way they worked together, supporting each other without speaking much. It showed unity, not just between two individuals, but between two worlds. After many weeks, the council held a grand ceremony to officially recognize Leora as the new leader. The hall was filled with thousands of citizens. Light shone through crystal windows, surrounding her in a soft glow. When she stepped forward, the entire crowd fell silent. Her voice was steady as she accepted the role. She promised to guide Arvala with compassion and honesty. She promised to protect the bond between her people and the humans. And she promised that no one in the kingdom would ever be made to feel unwanted, the way she once had. The hall erupted in applause, louder than anything she had ever heard. Tears filled her eyes, but for the first time, they were not tears of pain. They were tears of pride. She looked at Elias in the crowd, and he gave her a warm smile that strengthened her resolve even more. From that day forward, Leora became a leader who listened deeply, cared sincerely, and acted wisely. Under her guidance, Arvala rebuilt itself with fairness and cooperation. Trade with humans improved, tensions eased, and shared projects flourished. The people admired her not because she was a princess, but because she had proven herself through her actions. Leora often thought about her past, but she no longer felt wounded by it. Instead, she saw it as the path that brought her to where she was. A lonely princess had become a symbol of unity. A forgotten child had become a respected leader. Her story was no longer about being unwanted. It was about rising above pain, choosing understanding, and building a future where every person mattered. And beside her, always, was the human who helped her discover her strengths, someone who believed in her long before she believed in herself. Together, they shaped a bond between two worlds, showing that peace was possible when people chose compassion over fear. Leora's new beginning was not one of royalty or power. It was a beginning built on purpose, hope, and the quiet courage she had carried inside her all along.